Hey guys, welcome to Fantasy Effect episode 74. We got some Enigma rooms. We're brought to you by Dynasty Theory in partnership with Dynasty Daddy, and as always, Fantasy Football Infinity. We'd like you to join the Dynasty Theory Discord, and please like, comment, and subscribe. I got Holler and McSpanky with me tonight. How is it going, guys?
Going good, man. We are this close to actual football. There's next Thursday is the Hall of Fame game.
Hell yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
The juices have been flowing all day with the news, and I've just been pumped, and I'm trying not to share every single piece of news that comes across my timeline into the DM. But it is exciting times. I'm having a blast right now.
It's awesome. Yeah. I sent two of my favorites today. Jalen Polk just going crazy at practice, and then Daniel Jones looking and like mid-season form, just missing guys left and right. So my two favorite I shared in our. But yeah, goodness gracious, go get yourself some Jalen Polk. He's going off at practice.
If you want a receiver that can run a little 7-yard curl route, that's your boy right there.
It's sweet.
Yep.
Get you
Some of my favorite highlights are the ones that like there's no defender. And it's just the coach standing there. They're like, "Watch the separation."
Right? It's like, he just cooked that air, man.
Right.
My favorite thing about that one is I think let me pull it up before I butcher it, but I think it was just like go out and get Jalen Polk. I was like, are you kidding me? Oh yeah, it's his biggest takeaway from day one Patriots training camp. Draft Jalen Polk, and it's just a little like 5-yard pass, like nothing.
Which frankly he didn't even get that much separation on it. Like the defensive back wasn't that far away from breaking up the ball. So
good. Like we are in true form right now with our
peak off season for sure.
Yeah. And then I'm heading to Rams practice camp on Saturday.
Hell
so that should be fun. Yeah, we'll see how many people are. I'm hoping it's not crazy, but we'll see.
Get some live reporting in for us, Holler.
You got it.
Yeah.
Live from the Rams camp next Wednesday, but we won't be live, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we'll act like we are. We'll make a video.
And then I'll be like a little girl, Puka, can you sign my jersey?
So you gonna wear your Puka shirt?
I'll probably why not?
Might as well.
Oh yeah, dude, are you bringing your son? Are you bringing?
You know it.
Oh, dude, just hold him up and sign my baby's head. Sign his head.
That'll get him.
And then
start the chant.
Last second swap jersey.
Right. Yeah. Give me your jersey. You can have my shirt.
You want mine?
Yep.
You want mine?
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, let's jump into the news real quick because we got a ton of it. I'm going to go kind of quick through it. Mike Williams to the PUP. Chris Olave is on the NFI list to start camp. Ricky Pears, NFI list to start camp. Eric All is on the NFI list to start camp. Jonathan Brooks, NFI. OBJ is on PUP. Higbee to PUP. Nick Chubb to the PUP. We've got some retirements of Michael Gallup. McSpanky, sorry. Holler, also sorry. I don't know how much Gallup I have, but also we have Ryan Ramczyk with a season-ending injury, and Cam Akers has signed with the Texans. CeeDee Lamb is currently holding out. Trent Williams is holding out for the 49ers, and Brandon Ayuk has reported, and he is not practicing. He is doing a little hold-in. What stands out to you guys out of all this news here?
So probably the least fun one, but probably the most impactful is Ryan Ramczyk. He's the starting offensive tackle for the Saints. He's an all-pro offensive tackle, and I take it from someone who has firsthand experience watching Derek Carr play behind a poor offensive line. You're not going to have a good time. So Derek Carr's already pretty bad, but as soon as he gets pressure in his face, dude folds like a deck of cards. So not ideal for Olaves.
Yeah, that was going to be mine as well. But then I'm sure it'll get done. But I think Trent Williams holding out as well is pretty big. He's kind of like honestly on some of the rankings, he's like one of the top 5 players in the NFL. So if they can't get that stuff worked out, I think that's going to really hurt them. I'm sure it will. I think, but we keep hearing reports from the 49ers, but different players that are, holding out or issues with contracts. So I think that's going to catch up to them, especially because next year they're going to have to pay quarterback. So I just think, it's going to kind of catch up to him. And then the other one, I mean, honestly, all these guys on the PUP or the NFI really is not surprising to me. Like Mike Williams, we knew The only one really would be like Ricky Pearsall. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's a little bit of disappointing. So and then, but like Jonathan Brooks, we kind of knew. Higbee, we knew. OBJ, we knew. Nick Chubb, those three guys there, not big fantasy. Not going to be too like. I think some people might hope Nick Chubb's relevant, but I think it'll just be meh.
Yeah,
sorry, Ron. I'm
hoping for it. I think he's going to be just fine, man. He's a freak of nature, anyway.
I think the Pearsall one's kind of big because this is the time that he needs to be. I mean, rookies missing camp is always big for me. The vets, kind of, especially early on, it is what it is. Like, especially if they've been in the system for a while, they know the offense. It isn't as important. But with Ayuk holding out, this is the time for Pearsall to run with the ones and kind of get a connection. But he's not on the field, so that bites. That's just a missed opportunity for him.
Yeah. He can come off at any point in time. I will say, like the Lions NFI came out and there was like 6 dudes on there, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a terrible start to the season, and like all but like 1 or 2 are already off of it. And there's also reports that have come out that they're just easing them back in to camp. So maybe that's what we're seeing. Hopefully, with a few of these NFIs, we know most like Eric All, Brooks, Higbee are all torn ACLs, and Chubb are all torn ACLs, so they're expected to miss some time. I was actually surprised by Higbee to the pup. I thought we'd be seeing like IR for Higbee like at this point, like because that was like it was in the playoff game, was it not?
Yep.
And before that, yeah. So I was kind of surprised by the pup because that's like 6 weeks.
I think it is. Yeah.
The training camp pup's different. It's only if you make the regular season pup that you're out 6 weeks. You can the pup and the NFI, I think, are basically they're treated like the same for camp, isn't that right?
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Something I
and then kind of real quick comment with Wes is I think I saw some of those optimistic reports as well. That Hawk is ahead of his like recovery.
Aren't
but
we all?
I don't put too much stock into that. I do think that he'll probably come back closer to middle of October is what I would think.
I don't think I've ever seen an NFL player be behind schedule on their injury recovery. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, usually when you hear no news is when they're behind, I guess,
I guess. Are you guys worried about the 49ers? Like they gotta pay Trent Williams, Ayuk, and Brock Purdy, which I'm guessing 2 of the 3 get paid, and I'm assuming Ayuk's the one left out in the cold. But I don't know, man. That's not a bad situation. That locker room might have a weird dynamic to it this year. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to a little bit. It's just like just not like these keep piling up on each other, right? We see Ayuk and then Trent Williams, they like restructured or extended Christian McCaffrey. The next, or this offseason, I think coming up, they're gonna have to pay Brock Purdy. So just like what way are they gonna go? And I think I agree with you, Spankies. I think Ayuk's the one that's gonna get like not left behind, but like left out with the payday.
Yeah, Trent Williams is already 36 years old too, and they're gonna have to pay him a buttload of cash.
Yeah, but he's like the only good offensive lineman they have. Their offensive
line,
not awesome. Yeah. Like it's a totally different game without him in there.
Yeah,
so
and
they kind of have to.
And I think, like I said before, so he's one of the best, or is the best, in NFL. So I think that one, in my opinion, is warranted, and I do think he will get paid. I just think they have a lot coming up on the books, and so I think it's just kind of an unfortunate thing all at the same time. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what Purdy gets next offseason. But let's get into these Enigma rooms. We got a bunch of them to go through here. We're going to start with the.
Do you want to give just like a little overview of what this is?
Sure.
Kind of.
So, what we did is we went through and kind of looked at a whole bunch of teams and tried to decide where we're trying to find, who's going to be that number 1 wide receiver, who's going to get the most targets, who do we think is going to rise, or the cream always rises to the top? Who do we think is going to rise to the top of that room? Is kind of what we're looking for and trying to figure out here. We have some stats to go through for you guys. We got some yards per route run. It's mostly a lot of wide receiver rooms that we kind of found as we were kind of going through and trying to pick places. Running back, even though like it has become more so running back by committee in backfields, it seems like most of those are actually sorted out for the most part, or people are just kind of okay with, already just taking their bets on these guys. I do think there's a couple running back rooms we have on here, but not as many as I thought. I definitely thought we'd see more running back rooms. But to get it started, we got the Buffalo Bills, and I'll list the wide receivers here. We have Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Mac Hollins.
Yeah, so this wide receiver room is interesting. So they lost Stephon Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis, they lost a couple other, middling guys. But all in all, they lost 52% of their team targets from last year and 58% of their touchdowns that Josh Allen threw last year. Now, Josh Allen is pretty good for about, like 500 to 600, pass attempts and about 25 or 30 passing touchdowns. Like that's kind of been his MO. So unless he takes a major step back, one of these guys or maybe two of these guys are going to take a major leap forward, right? So you figure you got it's almost 300 just for math purposes, 284 targets that were lost in the offseason. So let's just call it 300 for easy math. Like Khalil Shakir, he had 45 targets last year. That probably goes up to close to 75, 90. Curtis Samuel, in his good years, he's somewhere in the 80 to 100 target range. So adding those two, you still are 150 or so more targets, 170 more targets you're basically getting out there. Like that's why I'm pretty bullish on Keon Coleman, just because whether you think he's good or not, he should be running with the ones. And he's the big body guy that they have, right? Like Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir, they're kind of similar in how they play. They're kind of a little bit, the smaller, faster, twitchy guys, whereas Keon Coleman's their big target. Obviously, I think Dalton Kincaid, obviously he's not one of the wide receivers, but he's going to take a huge step forward and get a bunch of targets. But I think Keon Coleman's going to be their big body guy. And really his only competition for that role is Chase Claypool and Mac Hollins, which, please, they both are garbage.
Yeah. Really, though, from a yards per route runs perspective, Mac Hollins is not that far off of what Keon Coleman showed us for his senior year in college.
Yeah. The offense was not good at Florida State this last year. And then he also played at Michigan State, which didn't do either.
Jaden Daniels did wonders.
And then I was going to say also Florida State, Jaden Reed, Florida State, their quarterback got injured, so Jordan Travis got injured. So Keon Coleman really took a hit after Jordan Travis was injured. I agree. I think Keon Coleman's going to be the most, beneficiary, but we've talked about it before. And the one wide receiver I like out of this room a lot is Curtis Samuel. And the main reason I like him is because he's still young, and I think just where he's going in startups, where he's going in best ball, his value is super, super good right now. You could buy him. I think we've talked about it before, but probably with a third. I don't know about a third anymore, because there's a lot of people that are kind of catching up. So maybe a second. If you're a contending team, you probably can buy him for a late second pretty easily. So I think it's going to take some time for Keon Coleman, but I don't think even if Keon Coleman is still that number one, I think Curtis Samuel is going to get a lot of targets as well. So I like him a lot, and I like Khalil Shakir as well, but I just think Curtis Samuel is better than Khalil Shakir.
So I was thinking that too, but then today the practice reports came out and Khalil Shakir was the one running in the slot, not Curtis Samuel.
Okay.
So they were running Samuel out as that Z flanker position, which I guess makes sense because they can kind of run some reverses and stuff like that. So I was thinking that whoever's going to run up in the slot in this offense is probably going to be the one standing to get the most like benefit from, because like that's kind of where like Cole Beasley ran. That's where and who Josh Allen loved when he was younger. So I think Shakir might be the sneaky one to get here, just because if he's the one rolling out of the slot, I think the offense is going to really be tailored to the slot receivers, and then Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid and whatnot. But I like me some Shakir, and they're priced pretty similarly. Like I think Shakir's like wide receiver 60 and Samuel's like 70, if I'm not mistaken. Like they're about like price. Which I just pulled up like a Curtis Samuel trade, like, and mentioned just today he got traded straight up for 25 third. He also, this one's interesting. Curtis Samuel went for a 25 third and Gabe Davis, which Gabe Davis down real bad.
All the mighty have
gone. I just think I don't know. I like both of them. But me, I think Curtis Samuel at the end of the day, once the games start going, I think Curtis Samuel will be the better out of the two. But I do think overall, I think that the main guys that are going to be the most fantasy relevant, that will really help your teams, is Dalton Kincaid and then Keon Coleman throughout the season. And then for me, I know we heard some reports about Matt Collins, running in front of Keon Coleman. I think that's just going to take time. Keon Coleman's a rookie, and then I don't really think, MVS is going to do much at all. There could be a game where he has one catch for a big catch for a touchdown if he can catch the ball. Because we already know how many drops he's had. So I just think those guys are not going to really be in the picture, especially, and then Chase Claypool as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if Claypool or MVS don't make the team. Like, I wouldn't either have anything to offer.
Yeah, the stats on Claypool are pretty damning. The 0.71 yards per route run is pretty darn bad. I get if you're looking for a jump ball kind of guy.
He's not even that anymore, though. He's just And for some context too, on yards per route run, so there were 96 players last year that had at least 40 targets, which I use as kind of a threshold. A 1.6 yards per route run was kind of smack dab in the middle there, so that's kind of how to measure that. So down at 0.71 is real bad, as they say.
That's so bad.
So we're talking
almost like JSN bad.
Jalen Reagor, Alan Lazard, Tyquan Thornton, Cedric Tillman, Sterling Shepard. These are all guys that are in the same area as Chase Claypool is. So pretty rough stuff. Curtis Samuel also had his career year with Joe Brady in Carolina, and Joe Brady is now in Buffalo. So the familiarity there are pretty similar. Get out of here with that, Wes. I did not say that one.
Shakir is ARSD. Sun God. Shakir and Sun God equal.
The one thing I will say about Shakir is that he's the one that's caught the most passes from Josh Allen on this team.
Right.
I mean, other than the tight ends, but at the receiver position. So I think there is a familiarity there. And Shakir was good down the stretch last year. He was used kind of down their playoff run a little bit. I don't know. I like Shakir. I think he's a good talent. I don't think he's any less talented than Curtis Samuel is.
I've been really targeting Samuel and Khalil Shakir. You guys know I'm not a huge believer in Keon Coleman. Jaden Reed really outshined him at Michigan State, and you can say what you will about losing Jordan Travis at Florida State. What I will say about stud wide receivers is it don't matter who's throwing Devontae Adams the ball. It's kind of, but I get you get Josh Allen throwing Keon Coleman the ball, but
it's the best quarterback he's played with by far.
Yes,
we'll see.
Look for here.
Although Keon Coleman could be one of those guys where maybe he doesn't put up a ton of yards, but he might. It would surprise you if he got double-digit touchdowns, just because he's
jump guy.
Kincaid are the only two big bodies they have.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I could definitely see the touchdowns for sure being higher than what the yardage is and everything. I just had the Kelvin Benjamin season.
I was just about to bring it up.
Kelvin Benjamin. Oh my goodness.
Or hell, even Chase Claypool, his rookie year, had 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yes, he did, and he was getting like end arounds. They were getting him, involved in all sorts of ways. We thought Chase Claypool was the next big, Steelers receiver, and it did not happen.
So the path is there.
Find Shakir on this list, but anyway.
What would you guys pay for Shakir? I know we touched on like a third plus for Samuel, but are you paying kind of similar pricing for Shakir?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Too early third, yeah. If I can do it.
Yeah.
These are the two I've been targeting for sure. Just because wide receiver 71 and wide receiver 60, I'll take those shots all day long.
Yeah, you could probably get them as like a throw into a deal instead of like asking for like a third to balance it out. Just like throw them in there.
Recent trades here. Ooh, I don't like this one. Khalil Shakir, and a second for Jake Ferguson.
Is there any tight end premium there? What?
Yeah, it's a 1 point tight end premium. I don't like that at all.
What?
Yeah, that's the problem when you put this up.
I'm not gonna send Ferguson for Khalil Shakir.
No.
I'm sorry, as much as I would like that.
So,
but
well, I don't like what I'm seeing here.
Too much.
Here we go. That's fine. 11 days ago, a 25-second for Khalil Shakir. That's fine. I'm hoping that's late. There's 15 days ago, Shakir for a third, 25 third. Shakir for Dotson.
Honestly,
I think I would do that.
I think I would too, because I trust Buffalo's offense a lot more than I trust Washington.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, that is fair, definitely. Especially with Cliff Kingsbury and talent.
20 days ago, Roshan Johnson for Khalil Shakir. So yeah, basically a third.
I would too. Late second.
So yeah, I would buy Shakir and Curtis Samuel for about the same price. For sure.
I wouldn't mind rostering both and just hope. I mean, I figure one of them is going to be good, right? It's just you can try to guess, or they're cheap enough you could probably get them both, right? So
yeah, definitely. Okay, should we move on to the next room here?
Let's do it.
All right, we got the Packers wide receivers. Slightly more established players with Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson. There's also the ever so hyped Dontavian Wicks. We also have Malik Heath and Bo Melton floating around that have also, I won't say put up numbers, but have had their moments, I guess, within the offense. I think it's more of a system thing than actual wide receiver talent.
Exactly.
Especially for the last two that we did name. What do you guys think about the Packers wide receiver?
So I've seen some crazy stuff going on for Dontavian Wicks. Like, it's just a lot of hype, and so I was curious. I did a little research. Last year there were 8 games where Doubs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks all played together. In those games, Doubs had the most targets with 48. Christian Watson was second with 46. Jaden Reed was third with 35, and then way down with 24 targets was Dontavian Wicks. So. And then the fantasy points per game backs it up. Like the top 3 guys, Reed, Watson, Doubs, were all averaged around 10 point, whatever, something points per game, where Wicks was down at 5.2. So as much as everyone, likes Dontavian Wicks and it's fun to see what he can do, I don't think he's going to be on the field. And so it doesn't matter how great you are if you're not on the field in 3 wide receiver sets. It's not worth some of these trades. And like some of the trades I've seen just this last week, Dontavian Wicks for 25-2, Wicks straight up for Calvin Ridley, Wicks for a 25 third and Hollywood Brown, Wicks for Palmer in a 25 third. Like I want the other side of that on all of them. And it's just one of those things. It's just like I know he's fun. He's a big receiver, but he also plays primarily out of the slot. I was looking. They kind of moved him around last year. Just if one of those 3 guys got injured, he played any of their spots. Like he played the Christian Watson spot. He played Jaden Reed's spot in the slot. But right now, depth chart wise, he's listed behind Jaden Reed in the slot, and which he's not going to beat him out there. I think that's his best position. So he's really going to need an injury to really see the field consistently, in my opinion. So that's the one I wouldn't touch personally. The one I do like, though, is Christian Watson. I think he's the highest ceiling player as if he can stay on the field. Yeah, which is a big if. And I've always had a
a thing for Romeo Dubs. I don't know why. I think when Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers were still there, or maybe Devontae had been traded at this point, but they were looking for a wide receiver, and I picked Dubs to be that guy, and he's ho hum production pretty much. You can almost count on it, weekly with Dubs. It's not going to be anything sexy at all. You're not going to get any big blow up games or anything like that, but he also isn't going to crush you if you had to use him in a spot. And he also has the least hype around his name, so he could be the easiestly acquired, I believe. And also, if anybody were to go, you probably need 2 people to go down, honestly, in this system for him to really up those numbers. But it is a possibility. Is the NFL? It could happen. I feel like the hype is too high for the other guys and the prices that people want you to pay. I'm not willing to pay for Jaden Reed and Christian Watson. That's probably a little bit to do with my Lions fandom and my hate for the Packers, but I don't want to go out and pay these prices for these guys when they're just average points per game. It's nothing outlandish from these guys. I think Christian Watson could win you weeks for sure because of his explosive plays and things along those lines. But he can also walk out there and tweak a hammy, and you don't see him again for another 4 weeks. And then
he's been working on them though.
Yeah,
they're more even now.
Science and yeah.
So
He's doing all right
I think the biggest issue here in terms of fantasy, it's going to be tough knowing who the right guy is going to be, right? For me, I think Christian Watson, I agree. I think Christian Watson is the most talented. I think Jaden Reed was the hot one last year. And then I think Romeo Dobbs, is sometimes the most efficient one, right? Just getting you the same amount of like 8 to 9 points per game, and so I just think it's going to be really hard to figure out who is going to be the right one to play. I think, like you said, Ron, Mike Watson can win you a week. And then Jaden Reed's all the way up at, not all the way, but up at wide receiver 33, and so his ADP is a lot higher than 86 and then versus 163 for Dobbs and 128 for Watson. Yeah. So to me, like, give me the cheapest option in Romeo Dobbs. And so if you got Jaden Reed last year in the rookie draft, like in round 2, you're
happy with that.
Sitting pretty good. Yeah. But I think it's going to be tough for Jordan Love to produce or, he'll produce, but to have all these guys be good, like fantasy production, right? Because they also have brought in Josh Jacobs. They also brought in Marshawn Lloyd. So I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed, right? And then also Jordan Love's talking of Dontavian Wicks, right? So that's 5-6 guys that, and then they also have 2 solid tight ends. So there's so many guys in that Green Bay offense, and I think that all makes their team really good, but it's going to be tough in terms of fantasy production.
Yeah, I think they're in a position where they have so much talent on that offense, they can kind of just scheme it up based on weaknesses of the opposing defense, right?
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that Jordan Love is the one you really want in this offense.
Correct. Yep.
And then you can kind of hope for the best in some of the receivers. I pulled up some Romeo Doubs trades. They're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that's my dog. Sorry.
You're good. Romeo Doubs and Jameson Williams for 2 25 seconds and a 25 third. What do you guys think on that one? I kind of like that.
Yeah, I tried to acquire a JMO today for a 25 second, or maybe it was yesterday. And lo and behold, the guy I tried to get him from is a Lions fan. Anyway, I would love to get that because JMO was in that deal.
Yeah.
That is tough. That's tough dealing with
Lions
fans, isn't it, Ron?
God, there's a bunch of suckers.
Dang Lions fans. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, I think it's going to be tough. I think, like you said, Spanky, I think Jordan Love is the one to own, the one to play. Obviously, it's going to be I think will be a top 10 quarterback this year. And I don't know exactly which wide receiver to play per week, right? So
if you had to pick one, Holler, who would you take? I'm going to make you choose.
Jaden Reed.
I think we saw he had the most consistent production and the most like wide receiver. He was like the wide receiver 3, right? Dobbs is more like a wide receiver 4. You're not going to really want to put him in unless you have to in your flex position. But like I said before, Watson has the most upside, right? But if I have to choose who to play, it'll be Jaden Reed.
Are you worried at all that Jaden Reed had such a high touchdown rate? He had 8 touchdowns and only 68 catches.
A little bit. That's kind of where I'm at with the whole offense, though. It's just it was kind of, we saw the same thing happen with Christian Watson too. It was kind of my argument with him as well, and so it's tough. I tried to move off of that. I tried to move off of Jaden Reed this offseason as much as I could, and you're not really getting good, not getting selling for much at all.
No, there's not a big market for him.
Yeah,
I tried to get in on the Dontavian Wicks hype, and I put a share on a trade block today, and I was not impressed with the offer that I thought there was a little more hype behind this guy's name for all the talk that there is about him and everything. I think you just a third to him and got myself Malachi Corley, and at that point, I'm just going to hold on to Wicks.
Yeah, I think you just have to find the right person, obviously.
Yeah, find the Packers fan.
I do like Malachi Corley though, but I think I would keep. I think at that rate, I'll just keep Wicks.
Yeah, I'm not going to add a third to Wicks to get to Corley.
Yeah,
and this was out of a startup, so it was it's not.
Yep,
I just agreed to see what I could get for Wicks. So let's move on here to the Chargers wide receivers. We have that bad man, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, DJ Chark, Brendan Rice, Darius Davis.
Hey,
who?
Real quick, you guys, I have a question.
The reason I list Darius Davis is because he's the return.
I know.
So if you play on, if you're the return points league.
Real quick. Who is the returning top target leader for the LA Chargers?
Is it Josh Palmer?
It's not Josh Palmer.
It's not Josh Palmer.
It's not?
No.
Wow.
Is it Darius Davis?
It is Quentin Johnston.
Oh, no.
What?
He was fourth on the team in targets last year.
Oh, my Lord.
Now, granted, he only had, caveat to that, he only had 7 more targets than Josh Palmer, and he played in 6 more games. So it should have been Josh. It should have been Josh Palmer, but it wasn't. So I just thought that was kind of fun. So they lost. Obviously, they lost a ton of their receiving core. Big Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, and not to mention Austin Eckler, who was third on their team in targets last year. All that gone, right? So that's 64% of their team's targets last year. Now, that being said, and we all like to make the joke that how many of those targets did Quentin Johnston catch? That's
not many.
Doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to the question. He got the targets. That's all I care about.
Oh man.
So we all like to talk about how John Harbaugh's just going to try to run the ball, and he might. But so I was curious to see kind of what some of the stat breakdowns were from last time Harbaugh was in the NFL. And PFF only goes back to 2014, which incidentally was Harbaugh's last year in San Francisco. Frank Gore was the running back 21 on that season, and Anquan Bolden was wide receiver 19. Crabtree was 46. Vernon Davis was 35, and Colin Kaepernick was their quarterback. He was QB 15 on the season. So obviously, there's a different skill set in Colin Kaepernick and Justin Herbert, but it was kind of reassuring to see that they did post at wide receiver 2 in that offense, and I think that's probably the ceiling of one of these guys. And I'm curious who you want there. And I'm assuming it's going to be between Ladd and Palmer because we don't really think very highly of QJ, even though I did just drop the little nice stat for him.
Yeah. Quick question on that 2014 team: is that also Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So thanks, Wes. So Greg Roman is now the offensive coordinator in LA with Jim Harbaugh again. If you guys didn't know, just so we have that on there. So all these stats are also across that the offensive coordinator as well with Jim Harbaugh, so they know each other pretty well. I want Lad McConkey, but Josh Palmer is so easy to acquire, and he has a rapport with Justin Herbert. We've seen him kind of do it, but like I also have it's always in the back of my mind when he came into the league, the Dynasty nerds would call him like the 400-yard man because like he just like wouldn't surpass 400 yards ever. And so like that is there, but like you can get Josh Palmer as like a free throw-in onto your deals, and if Justin Herbert is going to throw targets at him, I want that player. You know, I want at least a shot at, you know, what it possibly could be.
I think Palmer's probably the. See, it's hard because he has like flashes of like where you think, okay, this guy's like good, he can do it, and then he just disappears for periods at a time, and you're just like, what the hell? Where's Josh Palmer? And it's just it's infuriating, and I don't know if that's going to change with the new offense. I don't know if he's going to be like the featured guy. I feel like it would be hard to feature Josh Palmer, but you know who else? Like we like to talk about Ladd McConkey and how great he is. When he was on the field at Georgia, which wasn't a ton, he was awesome, but he also he missed a ton of games. And he was only there for the 3 years, and I think he only finished one season, and the rest of them he played like half the games. In the other 2 seasons he was there, and he was never like the focal point of the offense either. Like he's a really talented player, but he was never like the go-to guy in an offense, and I don't know if he's going to all of a sudden be that.
He's definitely a useful piece to the offense. What I've always thought about Ladd McConkey is it's a rookie year volume play for Ladd, and then next year they're going to bring in that true wide receiver one, and I think that can kind of benefit Ladd even more from a production standpoint and efficiency, but value-wise, it's going to drop Ladd when the new guy comes in.
Yeah, then you'll get cheaper. You know, I think I'm with you, Ron. I think Josh Palmer is the one you want to own versus Ladd McConkey. Like we saw Ladd McConkey going late first in rookie drafts, early second. Josh Palmer is, like you said, almost free. But we're getting some QJ hype. I know we were going to, but we saw it last year. Dude can't catch the ball. So I'll need to see it. I'll happily be on the outside looking in, right? Because I just don't see it happening. I just have a hard time with Josh Palmer as well. But since he's so cheap, I'm okay with like buying in and you know him not being that good, right? I think this whole offense is not going to be very good for fantasy production per se. We could see their team be solid. You know, Harbaugh's a good coach, and we know Herbert's a really good quarterback. I just don't think they have very good wide receivers in general. I think Ladd's good, but like you said, I don't think he's going to stay on the field. I pulled up Josh Palmer's. I don't know if we talked about it already, but Josh Palmer's stats from last year, only 38 receptions on 61 targets. I do know he was behind guys and whatnot, but we already saw Mike Williams was injured. Keenan Allen was injured a lot. He had a really good season last year and stayed on the field a bit. But, you know, I think we know what Josh Palmer is. You know, so I think overall this whole offense, wide receiver room is going to be kind of meh.
Yeah. Palmer did maybe 9.7 points per game last year in PPR leagues for what it's worth. So he could be flexible, you know, at times.
Yeah. He only played in 10 games, so that's why some of his like target numbers were a little bit down. That said though, like that's only like 6 targets a game. He had 60 targets on 10 games, so it's not like he was setting the world on fire even when he was there. Right. But the thing about Palmer too is just like I was just pulling up. I was curious where he's like around some of the guys right now. So like you could take him or Rashid Shaheed, Jacoby Myers, Malachi Corley, Kimani Vidal, Quentin Johnson, incidentally, Dontavian Wicks, Javon Baker, J.K. Dobbins, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Lockett, and Kate Otten are all guys like directly valued around him. And I feel like Palmer's the only one that you can look at there and just like you can kind of talk yourself into some of these pieces, but I think Palmer's the one that has like the easiest shot at like actually doing something.
Yeah. I mean, Shaheed is more of like a, you know, he's a boomer definition of boomer bust for sure, right? You're just hoping he gets a big like catch and run, you know, and like to your point, Ron, that he's pretty free. Like the last 2 days I've seen I'm looking at Dynasty Daddy right now. Palmer for a third. Palmer and a second for Chase Brown. What else is there? Oh, this is funny. Dontavian Wicks for Josh Palmer and a third.
Listen to who he's surrounded by in yards per route run as well. Within 1/10 of a point is Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Khalil Shakir, Chris Godwin, Devonta Smith. Also Rashid Shaheed and Cortland Sutton as well. The latter two are below Palmer by 1/10 of a yard, but those are some pretty solid names, some pretty highly valued players. So if the volume went up, could he do it? I have no idea. That 400-yard man still sits there in my head until I see him, break that. But like you listed off, McSpanky, for the people he's going around, I'm taking the shot on Josh Palmer. Like Tyler Lockett is the only one that gives me pause because I've always loved Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, we know what Lockett will give us, right? Josh Palmer, we need to see the whole season. He's going to get that chance. So
Palmer's a guy too that I don't care what my team looks like, if it's crappy or if it's contending or somewhere in the middle. He's only 24 years old. He's still young. So I'll trade any third for him just because.
Yeah, and then also if your team's good, right? You buy him for a third now, and your team's not good, and he begins to have a really good season. You trade him then for second or whatever. You now increase that third to a second.
Stonks.
So
classic buy low, sell high.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
boom, bam, pow.
Boom. So there you go. I think there's a lot. I think Josh Palmer has the most range of outcomes, right? And I think it could be positive, or it could be just kind of what we already know what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Do you guys want to talk about Darius Davis, DJ Chark at all, or should we pop into the
DJ Chark sucks.
Listen,
and that's all I got.
Darius Davis,
DJ has his moments.
Yeah, nah.
Okay, fair enough. I won't fight you guys on those ones. Okay, so for the Broncos, we actually have their wide receiver room and their running back room. Let's start with their wide receivers. We have Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Mims, Tim Patrick, Troy Franklin.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Because it's year 2 for Sean Payton, right? I think the offense could probably get better. The offense was pretty bad just in general last year. They were 26th in total yards, 24th in passing yards, 26th in rushing yards. Their top wide receiver only had 87 targets last season. That was Cortland Sutton, and some of that might have just been they didn't run a ton of plays just because the offense was pretty bad. It was either they happened to score or they had a lot of 3 and outs. I remember that watching the Broncos against the Raiders a couple times. There was a couple weeks there where it was just a 3 and out show left and right from both offenses, and it was kill me now. I think the offense will get a lot better. They have a really good offensive line, actually. I think it's probably a top 10 to 12 offensive line in the league. They have all their guys returning. In terms of wide receivers, they're all priced at a point where I don't mind acquiring any of them other than Tim Patrick, just because the dude's ancient and he's coming off of 2 really serious injuries. But I mean, Troy Franklin's down at wide receiver 53, I think is what we had him listed at. Sutton's down at wide receiver 61, Mims 76. Even Josh Reynolds was useful last year in Detroit. Wide receiver 121. He's fast. He's a big body guy.
Can I tell you about Josh though?
Please tell me about him.
He's only useful when Jared is throwing him the ball. Because when he left Jared in LA and went to Tennessee, he did absolutely nothing. They kicked him to the curb, and all of a sudden he was useful again in Detroit.
To be fair, that's the case with everyone who goes to Tennessee. That's the place where receivers go to die. So
also fair.
I can give him a pass there.
Yeah. Okay.
This will be the test for him.
This is it.
I mean, I know he went from LA to Tennessee, but even when I don't know if he was with I can't remember if he was with the Rams without Jared Goff. So
I don't think so.
But even if he was, I think it would have been the same. I do think him with Jared Goff, they just had that connection, right? So I I know you said he was kind of useful, but I stop after Franklin, Mims, and Sutton, right? I'm good with any of those three. The guy that I think is going to take a good step forward is Marvin Mims. I think Sutton will be probably the de facto wide receiver one there, but I don't think I think Marvin Mims could have. This is kind of maybe my hope. I have a lot of shares, and that was kind of one of my rookies last year. But I just think Marvin Mims is going to take a step forward. He was the guy that Sean Payton, I think he traded up or something, if I remember correct. Yeah, traded up for him. And I just think he's the type of guy that, like, wide receiver that Sean Payton likes. So I do think, but Franklin is that what is it? He's the he played with Knicks already, so he knows. Yeah, he like him and have a good connection already. So I think these three wide receivers could be like how cheap they are and where they're like how low they are. I think they could be like really good in your flex spot.
So what's funny? I was just pulling up JB's tiers over at the Dynasty Theory Patreon. All three of them, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Courtland Sutton, he has in the same tier, which I just thought was kind of funny. So it's like it's just like a roller, roll the dice. You pick whichever one you want. I want to say Courtland Sutton's probably going to be the one that's going to be the most like consistent. And I think Franklin's going to have some boom bust games. And I think Marvin Mims is the sneaky one there. That I think he's going to be like the little PPR machine. And Marvin Mims is electric, dude. He was Sean Payton's first pick.
I know, but I'm trying to think of the Ohio State return. God, what's his name? Is from
Ted Ginn.
Yes, he went to the Saints. That's who Marvin Mims is for this Sean Payton offense.
I do think
rude. Like he has his flashes. He could be. I didn't watch a whole lot of Marvin Mims, but I see punt returner, speed guy down the field, taking the top off the defense kind of deal, and having those big old boom games. But also, there's some weeks where you're like, damn, wish I started somebody else here. And I think he could be his new Ted Ginn.
I would agree with I wish I would have started somebody else, right? So that's what I'm saying. Any of these Broncos wide receivers, they're like you're hoping you're only having to put them in your flex spot, right? And it's or maybe like they're more bench depth pieces than anything, right?
Sure.
So, but I have to disagree. I think Marvin Mims is a much better player than Ted Ginn.
Thank you. Who has the highest ceiling out of these three guys?
It's got to be Franklin or Mims just because of the age. And if anyone does anything, they can pop into an early second pretty easily for those two. I don't know that they could ever touch late first.
I would say Mims.
Mims.
I think it's Franklin.
You think it's Franklin?
I like my boy.
These are the truly shocking answers from you guys. If you guys were in our DMs, you would know why these are the two least shocking answers from these two. Do we have a Marvin Mims bet right now?
We do, actually.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I thought so.
What is it?
And it's probably Ron saying that he's not going to be good.
I think I can't remember.
I'm trying to pop in here and see if I can find it.
We have it.
Marvin Mims is a top 50 wide receiver points per game. And you guys
easy claps.
You guys both say yes, and I say no.
Easy.
That's the easiest one of all people will ever get. He was close.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll see. I'll probably lose another one.
Here's an interesting trade that I saw that went down today in a Superflex league. Marvin Mims straight up for Aaron Rodgers. I'm assuming those are two teams going in different directions, but
I would hope so.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah,
have to be.
I don't really want anything to do with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some he could do something, but give me Mims.
Break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah, right.
That's what Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah, just give me Mims.
That's got to be one of those where like the team with Rodgers is starting a rebuild, and the team who needed him is like middling. And it's like, hey, I need this quarterback to help me get.
Might be my quarterback 3. Yeah,
exactly. Which is kind of interesting. That's a good way to do it, because I feel like people don't want to give up a pick for Aaron Rodgers right now, and so something like that might be the way to get off of him if you're in a situation like that.
Yeah. Okay, so the Denver Broncos running back room. We have Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Blake Watson. Blake Watson has also had a few, I feel like, blurbs here and there about him.
Yeah, he's.
I didn't put much about him, but
what do you guys? Rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thought. I touched on the offensive line already. I think I have conflicting thoughts of Javonte Williams, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Like at one point, the team's yards per attempt last year was at a even 4.0. Javonte was bringing that down at 3.6 yards per attempt, whereas like Jaleel McLaughlin was at 5.4. So it's like Javonte wasn't very efficient with the work that he did get.
What's the carry difference between Jaleel and Javonte, though?
It was a lot. So Javonte had like 217, and Jaleel, I want to say, was like at 70 something. I can pull it up again.
So
I had it earlier.
You can take a little bit of that in, and then you can also say, because I know Jaleel's like the little pass catcher, little scat back that Sean Payton always loves to have around. When the defense thinks you're going to throw the ball deep and you hand it off on a halfback draw and you gain 5 yards but not a first down, your efficiency can look really great.
So it's 217 for Javonte Williams and 76 for Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's almost 100 carries difference there.
Yeah. I feel like Jaleel's going to get more carries. Do you agree or disagree with that? And then Audric Estime, like, he's been getting some pretty good reports from Sean Payton. And if he starts eating into the workload there, like, I don't know.
So
up until today, when I saw the Benjamin Albright tweet about, maybe we all, the death of Javonte Williams has been over exaggerated. But I also, knowing what Dan Campbell does, they will say, good things about everybody, but when it comes down to it, whoever's going to put the best product on the field is going to play. So if there's at any point in time he thinks Audric Estime can outperform Javonte Williams, because I think those are the swaps there. I think we're kind of all saying that Samaje Perine is the one out the door just because of age. He's a solid back. Exactly. Like, there's not a whole lot for Samaje Perine or hope wise. And I think that if he thinks at any point in time Estime can give him more than what Javonte does, we'll see Estime on the field.
Yep, I would have to agree with that. But I just think I have to agree. I think that the Javonte Williams hate has gone a little too far. He didn't really show what like we wanted to see. I know it was kind of a slow start, obviously, because he was coming back from that. I think it was an ACL and so but at the end of the season, we wanted to see a little bit more, right? And if we did, then we would feel better about it. So I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. And then Jaleel McLaughlin looked pretty good with his touches. Yes, he didn't get that many of them, but I think at the end of the day, all three of these running backs are going to be used. I think it's going to kind of flip-flop, if Audric Estime is looking good, if Javonte Williams is looking good, and then Jaleel McLaughlin's going to just be dropped in there with, 8 to 10 touches a week, right? And so I think, Javonte Williams is probably going to be more like a running back 3. So, to me, that's not going to be – I think they're kind of – like we've talked about in almost all these rooms, is they're kind of going to cancel each other out.
Here's my concern too with Javonte Williams. Like he was coming off the ACL tear, and so you get that he's going to start slow, but he got worse as the season went on. Like his last 4 games were awful.
Yeah,
he had 12 attempts, 27 yards, 11 for 24, 15 for 41, 9 for 32. That was not exactly finishing strong to give you hope for the future. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's so hard to buy into him, because you can talk yourself into everything, right? Like you can talk yourself into, oh, the Broncos have a good offensive line. We know Sean Payton's going to run the ball, and it's a good offense. You know, Javonte Williams just today, he got all the first team reps in practice. But like, how long can he continue to just be average to below average and still get carries?
Yep, exactly. And so I think kind of what you were saying, Ron, and same with you, is just if his object estimate looks better, he's going to be the one that's playing, right? I mean, the best game that Javonte had last year was 27 carries for 85 yards, right? So 27 carries. I would hope you're getting close to 85 yards after 27 carries, right? And so I just think he's kind of a meh running back. Obviously, coming off the injury, but exactly what you said, Spanky, those last 4 games were rough. 27, 24, 41, 32. Just that's not going to get it done.
Yeah, there's one other thing I want to put on there is we all know why Russ is out of town, because him and Sean Payton disagreed so much on how the offense should be run or what Russ should even be doing, you know, out there on the field. And I don't wonder if that didn't play, you know, a slight factor in some of the inefficiency, you know, getting to wrong plays, we were just doing this because I want to do it, you know. That back and forth between Russ and Sean Payton was definitely a big storyline throughout the season for Denver.
Yeah, that offense was, you could tell Russell Wilson was not, like Sean Payton's offenses are like, you think about like Drew Brees, right? And Sean Payton's offense is like, it's very much just like it's a 1-2-3 drop and you get the ball out and it's just quick. Russ doesn't play that way. You know, he takes his snap, he kind of looks around, he buys time, he kind of just freelances a lot. And so you could already tell like that was just not gonna work. And so they decided to eat a lot of money to get him out of town. Then they spend, they didn't have a ton of draft capital. They didn't have a second round pick this year. So they spend that pick on Bo Nix. Like, it says a lot that they're putting a lot of eggs in that basket. I was saying like, hey, Bo Nix is going to basically be my boy to run this offense the way I want it to be run. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah. And Bo better just run the damn offense if he wants.
The offense better look a lot better. Otherwise, Sean Payton's in.
Yeah, he probably won't be there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Oh my goodness, what a bet the Broncos have made on Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Wow, it's gonna be
one of those.
It's gonna be fun. Really it's gonna be fun to watch.
Bo Nix.
You guys want to hop into the Patriots wide receiver room?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got the rookie Jalen Polk, the rookie Javon Baker, KJ Osborne, Kendrick Bourne, a lot of Bournes, Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boutte, Tyquan Thornton, and Juju Smith-Schuster, and if you're independent.
So here's my concern with this. It was a bad offense last year. Now it's basically they're all gone, and it's a bunch of new guys. The real concern, too, is just like you bring in a rookie quarterback, and then you're going to try to bring in rookie wide receivers and just hope that they all kind of learn and come along together. Generally speaking, if you have a rookie quarterback, you try to surround them with like vets. I don't exactly think KJ Osborne and Juju Smith-Schuster are the two that you want training your new quarterback. And the same with the rookie wide receivers. You usually want to pair them with like a quarterback who kind of knows what they're doing. So you're really banking a lot, and not to mention their play callers never called plays before too. Coming over from Cleveland to Alex Van Pelt, so you have basically in key positions all over the place. Just the first time doing it together. So I mean, it could be magical, but it could be a disaster. I don't know. Sometimes
I think it's going to be a
rough
magical disaster. I want nothing. I really like Jalen Polk. I really like Javon Baker. I like Drake May, but I don't think it's going to be happening this year. I think it's going to be slow going. I think Stevenson could be the only,
Ronja's the only one I
really right. So I think he's the one that you're going to play. The other guys, Polk, Baker, Drake May, I'm hoping are good moving forward.
Baker's nice too, just because he's down at wide receiver like 67. He's in that, like, you throw a third at him and you could probably get him most of the time, right? And I feel like he's the one that's got he had like an insane yards per route run stat in college. It was like 3.2 or something. It was one of the top like 5 or 10 players in college football last year in yards per route run. really liked him pre-draft process, so I'm curious to see how he does. But I think, like you said, Holler, I don't think year one is the time for it.
Yeah.
I think
we just hope that they progress throughout the season, and then they, maybe the whole offense is good next year, but we'll see.
Yeah. Although we did say the same thing about Houston last year. And
yeah, that's true.
Look at C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins. So
I have enjoyed taking shots on Kendrick Bourne at his ADP. At wide receiver
last year.
15. Yeah, 12 points per game. On average for Kendrick Bourne. I know it was a very short sample size. I think he had a pretty solid year the year prior as well. Nothing, outlandish or anything, but somebody you would be like, okay, I can flex this guy and feel confident enough that, with Bourne in my flex, especially when you're taking him at wide receiver 115.
I got you.
That it's so late in drafts. It's like, I can take a shot at a UDFA running back because all the other rookies are gone, or I can take a shot at a guy that has at least produced at points in his career. What about Demario Douglas? Are you guys in on any Demario Douglas?
I think he's who kind of reminds me of is a guy like a Hunter Renfrow kind of player where.
Sure.
He can be good for an offense, but he's not going to be great for your fantasy team unless he's just catching a ton of touchdowns. Like I think he's good. He can kind of be useful on third downs and kind of move the chains. I think he's a good target for Drake May to kind of help him learn because I think he can get open. But I don't think he's going to get unless he gets just peppered with targets, just a crap ton of volume. I just don't see how he's going to be useful. I mean, the dude also isn't he only 5'7"? He's tiny too, isn't he?
Let me look.
New England has a type. He's kind of like that Wes Welker.
Jalen Reagor.
He's 5'8".
One-handed past it. He's 5'8". Okay.
My bad.
Jalen Reagor
still probably 5'7". I mean, they list him at 5'8", so he's probably 5'7".
Yeah.
Fair. Fair.
Sure.
And he didn't score a touchdown last year, so that's fun.
He did not.
No? Oh wow, that's surprising.
So
it's not.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. He had 76 targets for 561 yards. That's kind of what I was getting at. He might get a lot of targets, but I don't think he's going to do a lot with those. Unless the touchdown numbers suddenly get crazy, I don't. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's just he's going to get you maybe 7-8 points, which isn't going to kill you, but it's you could do a hell of a lot better than that.
Totally.
Sure. The reason I bring him up is the yards per route run is pretty solid. He's right there around Rashid Shaheed, Cortland Sutton, the Josh Palmer range, all those guys. But once again, crappy offense versus good offense, a lot less routes, probably comparatively to some of these wide receivers that are on this list as well.
The good news for them is they also have a bad defense, so they might just be right back out there.
Have to throw, yeah.
Oh, they have a super good defense, actually. They're getting Judon back and Christian Gonzalez. They were really good defensively. I swear.
Maybe we can talk about this maybe it's a different conversation, but I feel like they've gotten a lot of credit that they shouldn't have gotten for just because of Bill Belichick. I don't think they're the same defense that
and everyone just
losing
the Patriots.
Belichick is a huge thing. Yeah, no, but actually statistically, I think they were actually really good. Especially when you bake in the injury to Judon and Gonzalez pretty much for the entirety of the season. I think they had I can't even remember what the exact stats were, but I listened to a Pats beat writer talk on The Athletic, and they were actually pretty high up there. Yeah, I listened to every single podcast on The Athletic. I swear.
I was just gonna say Patriots beat writers. What are they gonna say? On the defense.
Defense sucks. Yeah.
No, they had the stats to back it up. They weren't just blindly just yelling things into the ether. So, I'll slightly believe it. But also, and Bill Belichick, a defensive guru that he has been for pretty much his entire career. Not having him anymore can definitely change things.
Totally. So I think that's going to be the biggest.
You could be throwing the ball a lot more.
They were 27th in DVOA last year. That's defensive adjusted value over average.
Listen, I'm going to have to find that pod so I can get the stats for you. I'm telling you.
I believe you. I also think they suck.
Maybe it was a block of their season or something. I can't remember what the hell it was. I swear I heard it, though. Okay, anyway. Dallas Cowboys running backs. We got Zeke, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. The juice is loose again, maybe. Rice Freeman is still in the NFL.
You know it.
At least for camp.
I was shocked. But who do you guys think comes out of here? I'm just going to tell you right now, I think it's Zeke because I think Jerry loves Zeke. And I don't think he gives a damn, and it's just going to be feed Zeke. We'll probably see some Rico just to spell him.
Zeke obviously wasn't good last year, but we saw him get volume. We saw him at New England. He was solid, right? And so I think that's what we'll see this year. I think it's going to be Zeke. I don't think they sign anybody else. To me, I think it's going to be Zeke.
Yeah, and if you can get him at running back 45 prices, which is what he's listed at right now, I mean, hell. Yep. And if you're a contender, throw late second on there, and because he's going to get double-digit touchdowns. Like, he's going to get all the goal line carries. We know this. So, and it's a good offense. Yep. Like, he doesn't have to be good. It doesn't matter. Like,
he can Jamal Williams his way to a top 12 season.
Well, exactly. Yeah, he can still get in the end zone. So, give me Zeke.
Uncle Rico is going to ball out this year. I've heard good things with Rico Dowdle. We'll see. I think he's a solid, late dart throw. So,
I'm
all
ball out
last year.
Still, I don't know.
Uncle Ted does say Zach Moss is a must draft. So,
well,
there you go.
Yeah, I know you guys agree with that.
I don't know about Zach Moss.
I know about Zach Moss.
Chase Brown, baby. Chase Brown, baby.
I know
that's where it's at.
But yeah, Zeke for me in this Cowboys running back room, easily.
Okay. We're all Zeke on there. Real quick, so we get out of here. The New York Giants tight end room. Darren Waller retires, and that busts this room wide open. We have Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson, Lawrence Cager, Chris Manhurst. This all probably doesn't matter because Daniel Jones is still the quarterback, and Malik Neighbors is probably going to be the target vacuum, not even volume. It's just like vacuum. He's just going to suck up all the targets. I wanted to see Theo Johnson just because of that awesome RAS score. And I think he could possibly have an opportunity because we kind of saw Daniel Bellinger last year because Darren Waller didn't play at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we know what Bellinger is, and I think he's an adequate NFL tight end, but he's not like a starter. So I think anyone with any kind of ceiling here has got to be Theo Johnson. I don't really care to acquire exploring Daniel Bellinger. I don't think he's going to do much, even if he's the one starting. I don't think, and I'm sure he's probably going to get the nod early on, but I would assume it's only a matter of time before Theo Johnson takes over. And then, like you said, Malik Neighbors is getting all the targets there. So
agreed.
Yes, indeed. Any final thoughts? Anybody?
Just
football. Olympics are starting.
Football. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. Mm-hmm. I can't wait. Oh, the Olympics. Yeah. Did you guys watch Sprinter, the sprint show or whatever? I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you the last time I watched in the Olympics.
Do it. It's going to be good.
It's on Netflix. No. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. I want to see what Noah Lyles is going to do. There's a few others out there now that I've learned their names because of the show.
Nice.
And then I swam in college, so I like swimming. So
cool.
So Olympics are fun.
Go. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll tune in for you then, Holler.
Do it.
Yeah, I like to watch the Olympics.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, let's get out of here. You guys ready to get out of here?
All right. Let's do it. Peace out.
See ya.